Oh, no, we already started. Okay, cool. Hi, guys! Hey, how you doing?
You should start the intro.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Post-Op Kelly. No, I'm kidding. My name is Benton Gammons. I'm here as a guest of Kelly today. And
we didn't practice this at all. That's not obvious. This is Benton. We go to school together.
Hi, guys.
So Benton's gonna help me do a very special video for you guys, something I've never done before. Trixi from Don't Trust the Rabbit, which is a YouTube channel many of you guys may have heard of, did a video where she talks about false impressions that Germans have of Americans, and I found it really interesting. I asked her, hey, can I react to your video? She said, of course, and so that's what we're doing today. But here's the thing, is that I only offer one perspective because I'm one person. I thought it would be best if I brought someone into the video with me, and that's why you guys are seeing Benton here.
So again, I'm Benton. I am another person with a different perspective, so hopefully I can give you guys some of that today. I'm from the South. I'm from Florida specifically, and I have not seen this video prior to this, so I'll be reacting in real time. So, you know, all my hot takes will be rapid fire in response to whatever I see. Bum, bum, bum.
So yeah, as Ben said, he's from the South, I'm from the North. Ben's obviously a guy, and I'm a girl.
So
Benton also is a father, whereas I have no clue what it's like to raise children. I can barely take care of myself. So he brings a lot of different perspective into this video, and I hope that you guys enjoy what we have to say. So let's get to it.
All right.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
My god, is this video going to start at some point? Yes, exactly now.
Oh, I get it. That was her too, reacting to her. Got it.
Okay. When I think about how Americans appear
I'm catching on,
are the
people.
impressions that I get from watching American YouTubers. Compared to other European colleagues, I feel that Americans are a bit more superficial, loud, and over the top. Hey guys, it's me, Cindy, and today we are going to experience something amazing together. The volume and this excitement are just a bit too much for me sometimes.
Okay, so she's talking specifically about American YouTubers, and being a YouTuber, I'm sure she understands like how the analytics work. So Benton's never been on YouTube, so this is a new game for him, and we kind of like are able to track like our audience retention and things like this. A lot of people that are on YouTube, especially the more popular ones, really key into what they know that their audience wants. So how you're seeing them act on YouTube is for a reason, and this is like what she's picking up on. So there's like this girl named iJustine, and she does Apple reviews, and she is like overly excited about opening up an Apple Watch and so on, but she has millions of views. That's what people want to see, and that's how she's gonna act.
Yeah, I also think that it's kind of necessary. From my point of view, you want to be energetic or effervescent and pull people in, because if you just talk monotone and you were just like, look at this here, whatever, people are probably going to click by or fall asleep. So.
And you know, I also have the impression that this small talk thing is not only limited to YouTube videos and, you know, presenting yourself online. It seems to be a social thing as well. You get this feeling that life only consists out of balloons and cupcakes. So in general, I think Germans tend to talk a bit more about severe things.
Okay, so this is something that I've heard a lot, is people, non-Americans, tend to criticize us thinking that we talk small talk all the time. Mm-hmm. Like the grocery store talk is like how everyone talks to each other, and that's like so not true. If you don't know your like American friend very well, they're probably not going to talk about politics with you, or foreign policy, or immigration policy right off the gate.
Having small talk is different than talking about whether you voted for Donald Trump or not. Like that's, there's going to be some pretty bright red lines between what you talk about with people you're familiar with and people you just see on the street, as far as that goes, in my perspective. Also, you know, it's the group dynamics that you're in. Yeah. Some people are just not comfortable talking about politics or other divisive issues. But again, to separate that from the small talk she seems to be talking about, I mean, I think those are two different issues. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
While Americans hug and kiss and ask you, hey, what's up? Long time no see. It's amazing to be here. I don't even know what to say about that. Whether or not the American way is the better way, or I prefer the European one. I just feel it's very different. The American way may be a bit fake, but also very warm-hearted and nice.
I will say that whenever, again, Misha and I started dating, he told me that he really liked my American enthusiasm, because it was so different from what he was used to, and I was always excited about everything. Like, It could be the way like an ice cream sundae was served, or something, little things like excite me really, really easily. And he said he really liked that, but I can easily see how someone would be annoyed with that.
Yeah. And I mean, I can see how it could come off as superficial if it's new to you. But I think her read of it being fake is not generally fake. People, that's kind of a cynical look at it. People that are being fake, I think, come off totally different than people that are being genuine or caring or just positive and bubbly. But if you're kind of dropped in from a different environment, I can see how you'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Why is everyone laughing?
All this talking.
Right? Like,
So far, that was a pretty harmless topic to start off with. But let's take this whole superficiality aspect on another level. If I just listen to my guts and share my first associations with you, I would say that Americans, for example, care more about status symbols. A huge car, a big house, then it may appear to me that Americans care a lot about being famous and rich and liked. You know, that career and status and money matters a lot to Americans. And
how do you feel about that?
So she's conflating a lot of issues in there, right? She's throwing a lot of stuff into one pot. Yes, sure. You know, capitalist society driven by, you know, if you can't make money, you want to make money. I mean, it's an undercurrent through our society, and people can like that or dislike it. But the cars, movies are grandiose in their depictions of how American life is. But, you know, not everybody's driving this fancy sports car or in first class or going on all these vacations. Some of that's just a product of kind of like the media, and kind of the image they're putting out. Or if you go into music, what people will present themselves as, or athletes and whatnot. I don't think that's your common American. But in this kind of McWorld culture and media, I can see how that kind of can permeate throughout. But I think there's strains of that throughout the Western world. I don't think it would just be America.
little reminder, this does not mean that I actually think this is true. And then there is this plastic surgery thing. I feel like at least in Germany, this topic is not that common. I literally don't know anybody who did plastic surgery. And from my friends, I know that most of them wouldn't consider it.
Do you know anyone with plastic surgery?
I know a lot of people with plastic surgery. So, I'm from Florida. So, where I live, plastic surgery isn't the biggest thing out. But if you go 3 hours down the road to Miami, where some of the best plastic surgeons in the world are, and there's a huge celebrity culture, and it's hot year round, everybody has work done. Men, women, young, old. You can put, like breast augmentation on payment plans, so where you're paying $40 a month. It's a really crazy culture down there, but that's part of the kind of beach party life culture that's down there. When I was in undergrad, a lot of people got work done. Again, that's probably a regional thing in areas where you spend like most of the year on the beach, or at least trying to live that life, live that best life. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't think if you go to Wyoming or you go to Nevada, then you're going to find much of a market for plastic surgery unless it's reconstructive. That's just my point of view. But California, Florida, yeah, she's got a point there.
Yeah, I think it is pretty regional.
Next up, nationalism. When you watch American movies, series, or videos from America, you can see the American flag everywhere. I hear many Americans say online how proud they are to be American, that America is the best country ever, which to me, of course, is not a bad thing, but a bit weird.
Okay, so let's unpack a couple things. So just from her original point about the flag, I have an ex that's Canadian and spent quite a lot of time in Canada, and I think Canada is the most branded country in the world. They have the Canadian flag on just about everything. Now, we're probably up there, but I would say that is more prevalent in Canada. Now, American exceptionalism, we don't have time to get into it right now, but it's something that has been purported throughout political regimes and throughout just common threads, and it's something I think if I was not an American, I think it's perfectly fine to take exception to, you thinking that as an American you are exceptional or special in those regards. But as far as our nationalism, I think it may be more muted, and again, don't want to go too deep dive into this topic, but Europe in general has histories of nationalism within different countries that have led to some pretty significant things. So it seems there isn't so much of a focus on nationalism there, especially with the construct of things like the European Union and stuff like that, as opposed to here. But that's kind of a talk for a different day to walk down.
Yeah, we could talk a lot about that. This is definitely like a breeze over of it. I will say that, so the US, we're definitely told from a very early age, we hear you can do anything you want because you're American, you're so lucky that you're American. And in a sense, we really are compared to some other countries that are out there. Does that mean that, we wouldn't be able to do the same things we're doing in other countries? Well, of course not. But we do have a lot of opportunities available to us that other people from other countries would not otherwise. And I think there's a great appreciation for it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I agree with you, Kelly.
Thank you.
I hear what you were telling me. And yeah, I mean, we are kind of brought up that way. And I think it can be problematic because it can be overly simplified. Under President George W. Bush, when we were dealing with the September 11th attacks, a common thread he would say is that hate us because of our freedoms. And, that's a kind of an oversimplification of a lot of different things. And I think that can irk some people the wrong way. But, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have national pride or faith in your country's opportunities and institutions. But yeah, we can take it to an extreme degree. I mean, we do have a flag a lot of places, but not as much as Canada. I'm sticking to that original flag.
Canada and Turkey. Turkey has flags everywhere. I don't know if you've ever been to Turkey. But
So let's talk about people being a bit more extreme than in other nations. Whenever I watch an American movie or even just an American YouTube video, I feel that everything is more colorful. People don't seem to be afraid of showing bright colors and super amazing effects every 5 seconds. Many movies are action-packed, or you have these super silly, cheesy romantic movies, or it's like super dramatic, super sad. To me, it seems like the premise of every American movie is make people talk about it.
yes,
I mean,
that's what they want to sell movies.
I mean, you want to have a product that people talk about, word of mouth, that drives foot sales.
They want to invoke an emotion in you because, isn't there a quote out there saying, it doesn't matter the words you say, it matters how you make your audience feel? And that's what makes people want to go to the movies. They want to feel something. They want to be captivated by whatever's on the screen. And that's why you're seeing these sort of films.
Furthermore, another association is that also the beliefs of some people are more hysterical. Scientology, lizard people? Or what about this strange attitude of some mothers towards vaccines, that they cause autism and you cannot vaccinate your child? I don't know anybody in Germany that has these doubts. Are there actually many Americans doubting vaccines? Another impression that may or
I don't know anyone.
Yeah, we didn't. So yeah, the vaccine thing is kind of crazy. I should quit using the term crazy. But that one I think is crazy. So there's always people looking for different kind of holistic or health-wise things. And there's a number of parents that have started on this fad or this trend of not getting their kids vaccinated. And I don't have all the data here, but it's actually caused a lot of problems. And I am a parent myself, have seen more, this is anecdotal as well, more parents that push back against their kids not being vaccinated and say, okay, if you want to do that, then you can put them in homeschool because you're exposing our kids to risk, than it's not a norm. Mm-hmm. It is something that, has gained some people's interest, but it's not something that's generally widespread. So to answer her question directly, yes, there are people that think vaccines are bad.
Right, but it's been exaggerated.
Yes.
And it seems like it's so many people not vaccinating their children, but I don't think it's to the extreme that it's been represented.
Yeah, and it's not something that's being taught in school or whatnot. It's actually being discouraged.
Yeah.
If I, as a German, would brainlessly trust all the different media influences, then I would see Americans as crazy about guns.
But I will try to put guns in a nutshell. It is fundamental, right? It is in our Constitution. It's the Second Amendment. You have the right to bear arms. I would argue personally that has been extended way farther than the Founding Fathers ever contemplated, obviously. But it is one of our foundational rights. It also is, we were talking about culture, and it's a regional thing. So we have a lot of concerning issues with mass shootings and gun deaths and just gun violence in general that has reached kind of gridlock within our political system. But it is a very cultural system. People will pass guns down throughout their family. They have their grandfather's gun, their father's gun, and stuff like that for hunting and things like that. And they will look at any encroachment on their right to freely have these guns as an encroachment on their individual liberties. And before you combat gun issues, you have to understand the cultural ties people to have them and not to just be dismissive of that. On the other side, there's super concerning issues with the access to guns, mental health, and like these mass shootings. Unfortunately, we're kind of at an impasse with our two major parties in how to address these things, or really aren't even looking at addressing them at all because people turn the other way because there's huge gun lobbies and things like that. So that, not to get so super serious, but yeah, the lens that the world looks at and is confused about our love of guns is warranted. But I would just challenge anybody who doesn't understand it to realize that it is written to our Constitution. It is something that has more of an aspect than just like a mantra, I want to have a gun. It does have a family aspect, especially in the South, that people are super protective of, because a lot of our core values that this country was founded on was not letting the government encroach on a certain set of rights, and that one is built right in there. Does that mean people should be gunned down in the street or these guns should be everywhere? No, but I think you do have to understand that dynamic.
All right, I think that was really well said, and I contemplated doing a YouTube video once to try to explain this gun culture that we have, because I think that a lot of people have difficulty understanding it. But as you said earlier, I mean, we were born from a revolution, and I think that's like so important to look at and then like progress from there. I mean, like people pushing the Western frontier, you know, hunting and how important that was in our history, and that's kind of all led up to where we are today. And again, not excusing, and you know, what we're experiencing now is nothing like what was ever, you know, expected to happen. But it is very easy to understand why Americans are so protective of their guns when you start looking at the historical and cultural aspects.
But it's also important to point out that 3/4 of America, 67 to 75%, depending on how you look at it, are for reasonable gun reform and gun controls. Nothing has happened because the politicians don't have, it's not an issue that gets them thrown out of office, so it's not an issue that anybody stepped up the courage to enact on it. So if you want to make generalizations, like there's actual polling out there, 3/4 of Americans want gun control reform, and hopefully one day we'll see it.
Right, but it doesn't sound like that in the media. Like I feel like oftentimes it doesn't sound like that at all.
The media is really polarized, but you guys probably know that already.
I bet that the truth looks much different, and I can imagine that Americans are a bit tired of hearing that. However, if I listen to my unprofessional
We shall let her
gun-feeling, I would
finish.
say that America has a bit more emphasis on military things. The army, the navy, all of that seems to be connected with heroism and respect. You don't have to like it or go for it yourself, but at least you have to appreciate it in a way.
So she touches on something that is, we are a society that is very beholden to our military. And rightfully so, they're called upon to do a lot of things. I have had a career in the military, and I think sometimes we can be too reflexively deferential to the military. You know, everything is looked at as, you know, heroism, and sometimes that can overshadow some more concerning actions that we're taking. But before getting into that, you have to understand kind of how we got to this point. So coming off of the World Wars, the military was held in very high esteem. Then we got caught in the quagmire and adventurism that was Vietnam. And what often happened was the discord from the people and the distrust of their government they took out on their military soldiers coming back home. And that was in a draft era where people didn't have a choice. They were sent to war and they came back and they were spit on, sometimes assaulted, and generally disrespected when they came back. After that dark episode in our military history, our personal military history, there was a huge effort to rebuild the military and rebuild confidence in the military. So now we've kind of pendulum swung a little bit to the other way, to where if you wrap anything in defense or national security, it's almost a sacred cow. I think there's some happy medium in the middle. Like I said, as a person who puts a uniform on, I I do appreciate that my fellow Americans do appreciate what we do, but I don't think you should blindly just cheer for anything without, you know, a part of our heritage is also to question authority and rival authority if necessary.
All right, so I'm gonna pour Benton another gin and tonic as a thank you for doing this YouTube video with me, because I think, are you all done with yours? I'm out.
Cheers. Oh, I was doing too much talking. Evidently, I
Pace
should have been
yourself
drinking.
though, yeah, I was just over here enjoying the Hendrix, the Hindi, so. All right guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that maybe it gave you a different perspective. Thank you especially to Trixi for allowing me to do a video where we talk about what you said.
Hey, Trixie.
Thanks to my patrons, you guys are awesome. All right guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.